Hey, welcome back to the channel, and today's repair day for Nova Hobbies. I just came back from our club launch yesterday, and it was windy, so the rocket gods demanded a few sacrifices. We have some fin sacrifices today, and this poor rocket didn't even get off of the launch pad. As you can see, I've still got let's get this out of here. Got the motor and the igniter still in it, because the pad unfortunately blew over. It was pretty windy that day. And when that happened, didn't even get off the pad, and we lost a fin. We cracked another fin, and we lost the launch lug. But I've got everything here, and part of the hobby is repair. So guess what we get to do today? First thing I'm going to do is go ahead with the fin, and I'm going to do a double up with my glue on this. Thankfully, if you can see here, it actually broke very cleanly, and in the process of breaking, it gave me a nice rough surface to glue back, so I'm not too fussed about any of this here. That's going to be able to glue back with almost no visible damage on the one side, and just a little to clean up and patch up on this side here. So I'm going to do a two-part glue up here. I'm going to use my Titebond 2. And I have my paper towels here on the ready. And after I'm done with the Titebond 2, I'm going to add just a little bit of thick CA to tack it in place on the front, the leading edge, and the trailing edge of the fin. Just a little bit, not a whole lot. And I've got time, since I used the thick CA, to adjust this and move it around a little bit. And I've also got a pretty good edge to work from here. So I'll be able to get that settled in place. Wipe away the excess. That's what the paper towel's for. Wipe away the excess on this side. Now, before the CA sets, I'm just gonna make sure that that is pretty even. I've got it set exactly where it was before. So I don't really have to even worry about the angle too much here, because it's sitting in the exact same slot. Okay, that looks good. Just a little bit of accelerator on the leading and trailing edges to kick off the CA, just to keep it tacked. And finish wiping away any glue that seeps out. Now that was the easy thing. That was the easy part to fix. And again, just making sure that everything there is centered nicely. Yeah. There we go. That looks good. Now let's go ahead, and this little fin right here is going to take just a little bit of thin CA to keep it in place, and then once that's done, I'll come back in and putty that little crack and repaint that. So all that's going to need is just a little bit of, and I'm using the thin CA for this one to wick into the broken bits. There we go. I'm not going to worry about it any more than that until that fully sets, and then I'll just come in and I'll putty this little divot here. But these fins, these fins are balsa, so they're pretty fragile. They can crack, and I've even got another little crack right here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. That one doesn't look like it's cracked all the way through, but there's no reason to leave it like that. I'm just going to let that CA wick in there. Wipe away the excess. And set it off. Just so you know, when you use CA accelerator, it does weaken the bond of the glue a little bit. It will make the CA a little bit more brittle. So only use it when you really have to. That's why I only used it just in the front and the back. I'm letting the Titebond do the actual work of holding the fin on here. And same thing with these little bits right here. That's going to keep it solid, but it'll be a little bit brittle, so you have to be careful with it. And then the last thing that happened to this poor model was the launch lug. So we're going to go ahead and put the launch lug back in place. Same thing, if you look at it, the glue is going to guide where it's going to be. That's going to fit pretty much perfect right there. For the launch lug, I'm going to use Titebond Quick and Thick. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a pretty fast gripping glue, and it is a very thick glue. So use it sparingly, because that's all I need. See that? That's really all I need. It's gonna smush out all the sides here. And I'm not even going to worry about using CA to hold it in place, because the Quick and Thick does what it says, and it bonds pretty fast. It also holds its shape. People use Quick and Thick a lot to make fillets, especially on low power rockets. There we go. And we're just going to sight down. Do this again. Going to sight down the front there to make sure that it's pretty straight. Needs to be. I'm just eyeballing this. I'm adjusting it just a little bit off to the side there. But you see, it's already grabbed a hold pretty fast. I mean, if I was to take my fingers and shove it, it would move. The bond would break. But it's got a pretty good hold already. Enough so that I know I'd be able to take it and set it like this, and the glue wouldn't slump, and the launch lug itself wouldn't get moved out of position. I'm not going to do that though, because I want this fin to dry upright like this. Actually, even better, I'm going to just let the whole thing dry like so. And let's move on to the other one that lost a little bit of cohesion yesterday. Here's my Big Bertha's Bones, which is a mashup of the Super Big Bertha with a 3D printed nose cone. I did this for Halloween, and a whole bunch of vinyl applique. And the fins are the cores of the original Estes kit, but with clear plastic covering them so that they remain aerodynamic, and then more vinyl applique for the bones. And you can see what happened here. This one landed on the road, and it landed pretty hard, so this fin broke and popped off. But that is a very easy fix. It's not going to be perfect when it's done, but it'll be good enough, and it'll definitely fly again. So we're going to go ahead and get that sorted out. That was the only thing that was wrong with that. Let's get this motor out as well. Excuse me while I move this off to the side. Where's my tape? There it is. This rocket has old school tape retention, which, by the way, especially if you're trying to save weight in the back of the rocket, works great. There's nothing wrong with tape retention. I do like using the plastic retainer screw-on caps. It makes things pretty easy, but there's nothing at all wrong with old style tape retention. Let's get that all off of there. That launched on an F-27-4 Redline. It was a good launch too. I've got the video of it later. Okay. Tape's clear. We're ready to go in. And I don't even think I'm going to use any CA on this one because this sits pretty well just as is. Actually, no, I'll use a little dab of CA at the very front there. But these are the balsa cores for the Super Big Bertha. And I have another Super Big Bertha that I built using the aftermarket plywood cores, and that holds really well also. Alright, little dab of CA here. Actually, I'm going to put a fairly large dab there. Little dab there. And I know I keep reiterating this, but I just want you guys to be aware. CA does not hold a fin. All this is doing is keeping it tacked on in place while the glue itself is drying. Why do I keep reiterating that? Because I see people showing up on the fields with fins that have been CA'd in place, and then they wonder why they pop off in flight. Kids usually, but still, gotta teach them young. Okay. And that'll dry out, that'll dry pretty clear when that's all done. And Big Bertha's bones will be ready to fly again. So that's it. That's part of model work. That's part of rocketry. If you're not willing to do the repair, then maybe it might not be the right hobby, because there's only two kinds of rockets in the world. Those that have crashed and those that have not crashed yet. So that's just the way it works with us. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching and happy flying.